So in this video, we're going to talk about how to write the equation of a line given 2 points. So given 2 points, you can start off by calculating the slope of the line using this formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then you can use either point slope form or slope intercept form to write the equation of the line. So just to refresh our memories, let's calculate the slope of the line through 2, 6, and 8, negative 4. So remember, I'm going to use this formula, this m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So whenever I'm using this formula, I want to take a second to label my points so that I know what I'm going to be plugging in. So this first point, 2, 6, is going to be x1, y1, and the second point I'm going to call x2, y2. So when I plug into my formula, I get y2, which is negative 4, minus y1, which is 6, divided by x2, which is 8, minus x1, which is 2. So when I simplify this, I get negative 4 minus 6, which is negative 10, over 8 minus 2, which is 6. So negative 10 over 6, now I want to reduce that, so 2 will evenly divide both of these numbers. So I have negative 5, and then 2 goes into 6, leaving me with 3. So negative 5 over 3 is the value of the slope of the line through these 2 points. So when we have the slope, now we can write the equation of a line. There are 2 ways to do this. So method number 1, we talked about back in Unit 3. So you'll start off with a slope formula, like we just did, and then you use the value of m and one of the points to solve for b. And then you can write the equation in slope-intercept form. Method number 2, which we're going to learn today, is you're going to use, once again, the slope formula, calculate the value of m, and then you can plug the slope and a point into point-slope form. Then we're going to rearrange the equation so that it's in slope-intercept form. So both ways of doing this are correct. You can just choose your favorite method and then solve the problem however you'd like. So this problem, write the equation of the line that passes through 1, 2, and 2, 1 in slope-intercept form. I'm going to show you this problem using both methods, and then like I said, you can pick and choose whichever one is your favorite. So I'm always going to start off with the slope formula. So when I use the slope formula, I'm going to label this point x1, y1. I'm going to label this point x2, y2. So when I plug into my formula, I get m equals y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is 1. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, and that's over 2 minus 1, which is 1. So negative 1 over 1 is negative 1, so that is the value of m, which is the slope. So now what we can do is choose one of the points and plug into slope-intercept form, which remember is y equals mx plus b. So for no reason, I'm just going to choose the first point, 1, 2. I'm going to call that xy. So what I can do is I can plug in and I get 2 equals negative 1 times 1 plus b. So when I simplify this, I get 2 equals negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1, plus b. So now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and then negative 1 and plus 1 cancel, and 3 equals b. So we now have a value of b and a value of m. So I can plug into the equation and I get y equals negative 1x plus 3. So remember, we don't write coefficients of 1 usually in algebra, so I can write this as y equals negative x plus 3. So now let's do the same problem, but let's now do it using point-slope form. So the slope of the line, once again, I'm always going to have to use this formula. Okay, so no matter which method I choose, I have to do the m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So when I use these points, I'm just going to label them the same way. If you want to, you can switch the order and call this x2, y2, and this one x1, y1. It doesn't matter. So I get 1 minus 2 over 2 minus 1, which once again gives me a slope of negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug into point slope form. So my y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So once again, for this formula, I'm going to have to pick one of my points. So I'm going to pick 1, 2, and call that x1, y1. So when I plug in now, I get y minus 2 equals negative 1 times x minus x1, which is 1. So now I need to actually convert my equation to slope-intercept form, because notice that in the problem it asks me for slope-intercept form. So now I need to go from converting from point slope form to slope intercept form. So I'm going to start off by distributing this value of m. So I get y minus 2 equals negative 1 times x minus negative 1 times 1. So when I simplify this, I get y minus 2 equals negative 1x minus negative 1. So that minus negative, I'm going to go ahead and turn into a plus. So I have y minus 2 equals negative 1x plus 1. So I'm going to continue on the next page. I have y minus 2 equals negative 1x plus 1. So now to get y by itself, because remember in slope-intercept form, y is by itself. So to get y by itself, I'm going to do the opposite of minus 2, and I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So when I add 2 to both sides, I get y equals negative 1x plus 1 plus 2, which is 3, which I can rewrite as y equals negative x plus 3. So if we go back and look at the other way we solved the problem, you'll notice that we got the exact same solution, right? Y equals negative x plus 3. Okay, so now let's try another example. Let's try writing the equation of the line through negative 4, 5, and 8, negative 1 in slope-intercept form. So just because this video is about the new method, I'm going to continue doing them with a new method instead of showing you both. So I'm going to start off by labeling my points. So I'm going to call this one x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. So when I do this, I'm going to go ahead and plug into my slope formula, my m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So when I plug in, I get y2, which is negative 1, minus y1, which is 5, divided by x2, which is 8, minus x1, which is negative 4. So now when I simplify this, I get negative 1 minus 5, which is negative 6, over 8 minus negative 4. So 8 minus negative is going to turn into 8 plus 4, which is 12. So when I reduce this, the 6 will go into negative 6, leaving me with just 1. And 6 goes into 12, leaving me with 2. So my slope is now negative 1/2. So now I'm going to write in point slope form. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So when I plug in my value of m and my value of my point, so for the point, I don't know, let's pick negative 4, 5. So negative 4, 5 tells me an x1, y1 value. So I'm going to plug in and I get y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 times x minus negative 4. So now let's simplify this. We get y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 times x minus negative 4 is going to be plus, so we have x plus 4. So now let's simplify this. We have y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 times x plus 4. So we're going to start off by distributing the value of the slope. So we distribute the slope and we get y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 times x plus negative 1/2 times 4. So now we have y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 x plus, so let's do negative 1/2 times 4. So negative 1/2 times 4 is 4 over 1. So this will reduce, leaving me with 2. So we have negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2. So that plus negative now I'm going to go ahead and combine. So we have y minus 5 equals negative 1/2 x plus negative 2 is going to turn into a subtraction. So we have minus 2. So now to get this into slope-intercept form, I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. So when I add 5 to both sides, on the left side, I'm left with just y. And then on the right side, I have negative 1/2 x. And we have minus 2 plus 5, so that's plus 3. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3 is the equation in slope-intercept form. So now let's write the equation of the line that passes through 1, negative 6, and negative 7, 2 in slope-intercept form. So once again, I'm going to be needing to use this formula. So I'm going to start off by labeling my points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. So when I plug into my formula, I get m equals y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is negative 6, over x2, which is negative 7, minus x1, which is 1. So when I simplify this, I get 2 minus negative 6. So minus negative is plus, so 2 plus 6 is 8. And that's over negative 7 minus 1, which is negative 8. So 8 over negative 8 is going to equal negative 1. So that is now my value of m. So remember, we just need 1 point to write in point slope form. So just to change it up, I'm going to pick -7, 2. So that's going to be my x1, y1 value. So my formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So when I plug in, I get y minus y1, which is 2. That equals m, which is -1, times x minus x1, which is -7. So now let's simplify this. We get y minus 2 equals -1 times x minus negative is going to turn into plus, so we have x plus 7. So now we have our equation in point slope form, but once again, remember it asks in slope intercept form, so we need to convert this. So I'm going to start off by distributing the -1. So I get y minus 2 equals -1 times x plus -1 times 7. So now I get y minus 2 equals -1x plus -7. So I have y minus 2 equals -1x plus -7. The plus negative I'm going to go ahead and combine into a subtraction. So I have y minus 2 equals -1x minus 7. Now to get y by itself, because remember in slope-intercept form, y is going to be y itself. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So when I do that, on the left side, I get y, minus 2 and plus 2 cancel, and then I have -1x, minus 7 plus 2 is minus 5. So y equals -1x minus 5 can be rewritten as y equals -x minus 5. And that is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So remember, to write equations of lines, it's really going to depend on what kind of information you have. So if you have a slope and a y-intercept, you can use slope-intercept form. If you have a slope and a point, you're going to use point-slope form. If you have 2 points, you can either write your equation in point-slope form, or you can choose to use slope-intercept form and then solve for your value of b. So just remember to write the equation of a line given 2 points, you must always first calculate the slope using the slope formula. So you always have to use the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Then you have a choice. You can use 1 point and the value of m in slope-intercept form to calculate the value of b, or you can use 1 point and the value of m in point-slope form and then convert it to slope-intercept form. Both ways of solving this problem are correct.